If you've never heard of Valiant Guitars before, then I'm hoping by the end of this video, you're going to want to check them out. They make some incredible guitars, and in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about this insanely cool guitar that the guys at Valiant have built me. This is the Valiant Guitars Jupiter. So Valiant Guitars, if you've never heard of them before, are a somewhat new brand on the guitar circuit, but they do have a history. So the brand comes out of Ukraine, and the guys behind the brand have actually got 30 years experience working in their own custom shop. And Valiant Guitars is kind of like a new brand, but with 30 years of experience behind the brand. So what they do is they build incredibly high spec guitars, which you can customize to your own taste. And they also do some custom line stuff as well. These guitars are not cheap, but they are incredible instruments. So what I'm holding is a guitar they call the Jupiter. This is their kind of take on the Jazzmaster offset shape, but obviously it's got a bunch of really cool things under the hood. In this video, we're going to dive into what they are. So before we do that, I'm going to let you guys know this isn't a sponsored video, but the guys at Valiant did build this guitar for me, and they've provided me with this guitar to talk about in this video and use in other videos. If you follow the channel, you've already seen this guitar in videos before, but today we're going to talk exclusively about this thing. And as always, all the thoughts and opinions you hear in the video are my own. So the one I'm holding in my hand, as I said, is called the Jupiter. That's their offset jazzmastery kind of guitar. They also have a guitar called the Soothsayer, which is their super strat style. They have one called the Smith, which is a single cut Les Paul-esque kind of vibe. And they also have one called the Mercury, which is a really cool one, which is kind of a cross between the Jupiter and the Soothsayer because it's kind of like an offset super strat. All of the guitars they build are very, very high-end, using insane components, and the workmanship is just fantastic. So this particular guitar started life as a conversation at 42 Gear Street 4 between me and Igor from Valiant Guitars. And he was talking about building me a guitar, and he asked what I wanted, and I fell in love with the Jupiter at that show. Now, the colour of this thing actually started as a little bit of a joke between the two of us. And we were kind of talking about the idea of how far they could push the envelope with their custom shop. And I said, how about a paisley guitar with a purple sparkle on top, sanded back to reveal the paisley in like a relic way? And he agreed. But then fast forward maybe about 4 months later, he starts sending me photos of what they were actually building. So the joke actually turned into a real guitar, which is incredibly cool. So I also want to tell you a really cool story attached to this specific model that I'm holding. And it kind of takes place after the initial conversations. So as I've already told you, at Gear Street, me and Igor bounced some ideas around about building a guitar that was quite different and quite cool. We sketched out all the ideas, things start happening, the guitar starts getting built. Fast forward to early this year, which is 2023. February this year, there is a trade show in Birmingham called the Guitar Show, and Valiant were exhibiting as one of the brands. So the guys at Valiant reached out to me and they said, your guitar's ready, but we can't ship it to you. And the reason they couldn't ship it to me is because, as everyone is well aware, the situation in Ukraine has been not great for the last couple of years. And there's been a lot of things going on that prevented things like normal shipping channels operating the way that everyone would hope they should. So what the guys did is the representative that was appearing at the show brought the guitar with her. She hand-delivered this to me on a bus. So she left Ukraine with this guitar in a gig bag, travelled from Ukraine across the border to Poland, and then got a bus across Europe, ended up in Birmingham in the UK, and hand-delivered this guitar for me. So this guitar was made in Ukraine by a brand that I'm more than happy to call my friends. I've got a great relationship with them, and I have so much time for Igor. I love hanging out with him, and he's such a cool guy, and he's got such a great vision for what guitars should be. The fact that they built this for me with all the kind of passion that they put into their guitars, and then they hand-delivered it and brought it across Europe, that's just such a cool thing. So I can only be thankful to those guys for their absolute commitment in finding a way to get me this guitar ready for that show. So yeah, thank you guys for doing that. That's absolutely insane. And I mean, anyone who has seen any of my other videos or follows me on social media will know that I post this guitar fairly regularly, and it's always on the road with me. So they already know how much I love this thing, but now I'm putting that on video so you guys know how much I love this thing too. So the finish, if you take a look up close, is a high gloss finish. It's got this paisley sheet underneath. This is something I actually spoke to the guy who built this guitar at the NAMM show, and he said that was a big challenge because he'd never worked with paisley before. And apparently it was a little bit of a nightmare. So sorry guys that I put you through that, but thank you for making such an insane guitar. So it's a paisley layer, which they gloss over. Then they paint it with this purple sparkle finish that I requested. And then they relicked it by sanding back in various places. So you can see there's parts where they've not sanded back all the way, where you get this lighter purple. Then obviously where they've gone down to the paisley in different places as well. That's also the same on the back. We've actually got quite a heavy relic there on the back in different parts and kind of around the sides as well. So the finish is definitely one of my favorite things about this. I love the finish. I love the way this thing looks. So underneath this finish, we have a European alder body. So this is kind of a lightweight guitar. It's not super, super light, but it's definitely not as heavy as you'd imagine a guitar of this kind of size would be. It's pretty comfortable to play standing up. I take this on the road with me all the time and regularly do 2-3 hour shows with it without any back problems. So it's the European alder body. Then we have this hard rock quarter sawn maple neck with titanium reinforcement. So because it's quarter sawn and it's got titanium reinforcement, it's pretty sturdy. I've never really had any tuning issues. But then on top of that, we have this fretboard. Now, at first I thought this was rosewood, but what this actually is a wood called hornbeam. So hornbeam is a really dense wood that's very hard and actually quite difficult to work with. So I imagine when they put the fretboards on these things, they work pretty hard to get them because it's not the easiest wood to deal with apparently. But what they then do is they roast that hornbeam so it's even more stable. So we've got a roasted hornbeam fretboard, quarter sawn rock maple neck with titanium reinforcement. So what that means is the tuning stability is insane. Like I said, I've taken this on the road. It's in and out of venues with me, which means it's going from hot to cold, cold to hot, different humidity levels, and it's never slipped out of tune on me mid-gig. It's always rock solid. So the hornbeam fretboard is a 12-inch radius, and the neck is not super thin, but not super thick. It's just kind of a nice medium profile, very comfortable in the hand. On top of this, I've got 22 frets. I don't actually know what the fret size is, I will be honest, and I don't know what the material is. I know they use both stainless steel and nickel, but I don't actually know what they put on this one for me. I'm going to assume it's probably stainless steel because Igor knows that it's going to be a road guitar, and obviously stainless steel frets are pretty durable. So I would assume that that's what they've done, but I don't know that for definite. And then on top of the fretboard, we've got the Valiant inlay, and then these triangle inlays, which are actually wooden. They're actually wood inlays that are engraved into the fretboard, which is an incredibly nice touch. The back of the neck is also relic. As you can see, there's some nice kind of cutaways there. And also I forgot to mention, it's got this nice recessed neck heel too, which is very, very comfortable. So obviously when you're playing up the top end of the fretboard, your hand gets right up there. At the top of the neck, we've got the Valiant headstock. You can see what that headstock's inspired by, but obviously they've done their own thing with it. The headstock's got some relic in around the edges too. There's some kind of nice chips and scrapes taken out of that. And we've got these Goto locking tuners. These, again, are great tuners. Very easy to tune, very good at keeping the tuning nice and stable. And then one of the coolest features about this is the nut. The nut on this is a brass nut, but as you can see, each of the string slots is height adjustable. So this guitar, you can literally dial your perfect string height at the nut by just pulling the string out the slot and using a screwdriver to height adjust the nut. That's an incredible thing that I've never seen another company do. Now, what these guys also do is they manufacture the hardware themselves. So that nut is not a nut you could just go into a shop and buy. That's something that only Valiant are actually making at this point in time. And now the electronics, we have a set of bare knuckle riff raff humbuckers. These are bare knuckles, slightly more vintagey, low gain humbuckers, which suit me more because when Igor was asking what I wanted, I said I want something that's got a lot of vintage character to it. So these humbuckers are great. They actually had me a custom purple wood finished one made to go with a guitar and a kind of distressed neck one. Then we have a bunch of different controls. So we've got a 3-way pickup switch here, which does exactly what you'd think it would. It's bridge pickup, both pickups on, and then the neck pickup. Master volume, master tone, and we've got this part here with these two little switches. Each switch controls each pickup. So this is for the bridge pickup, this is for the neck pickup. In this position, the pickup acts as a humbucker where both the coils are in series. In this position, it splits into a single coil, and in this position, it goes into parallel mode, which means instead of the signal going into one coil, then into the other, then out, it splits, goes through both coils, and then rejoins at the end. So what that means is I've got humbuckers, single coils, but I can also use the parallel mode to create some stratty kind of in-between sounds. It doesn't sound exactly like a strat, but it gets me in that kind of slightly out of phase, quacky, stratty ballpark. With a company like Valiant that build high-end custom stuff, there's always going to be things that they do that are kind of cool and quirky as well. And one of those things is right here at the top of the fretboard. The truss rod adjuster is actually inside the 22nd fret, as you can see there. So there's actually a hole in the fretboard there where the truss rod wheel is, and you just put your Allen key in there and twist the wheel. You can't feel it under your fingers when you're playing, so that's not really a concern. It's just something that looks quite cool, but also is just a really interesting thing that I've never seen another company do other than Valiant. The bridge on this thing is also something that's pretty cool. This is something that they build in-house, so obviously it's not really like any other bridge. The bridge plate and the control plates are made from a material called duralumin, which is an alloy material which is very lightweight but very, very hard. So obviously when you're working with it, it's very easy and very pliable, but it's very hard wearing. So you can use it for things like bridges or control plates, and it's going to last quite a long time. For anyone who is interested, it's an alloy of aluminium, copper, manganese, and magnesium. It's 95% aluminium, and then the rest is made up of 4% copper and 0.5% manganese, 0.5% magnesium, and that is this material. The saddles on the bridge are bell bronze saddles, and inside the bridge, just inside the saddles, there's a quick release string system. So basically you just hook the string around the plate and it holds it in place. So it's not through body, it's not through bridge. The strings kind of just hook in below the saddles. So between that bridge and the lock and tuners, string changes on this thing are instantaneous. You can change the string in seconds. As I said, with a spec list like this, these aren't cheap guitars. The starting price for something like this is around about $2,700 in the UK, and obviously if you go crazy with colours and customizations, that price is obviously going to creep up. But they are incredible instruments. So yeah, that's kind of everything spec-wise. I think I've pretty much covered everything there, so I'm going to plug this thing in now, and we're going to hear what it sounds like. So gear-wise, the Valiant Guitars Jupiter is plugged into the Blackstar Studio 10 6L6. That is running via the 2-notch Torpedo Captor X. And in front of that, I've got the Red 7 Alchemy Overdrive that I'll be using later on in the video. So I'm going to start with some clean tones. The first thing I'm going to do is put both pickups in single coil mode. I'm going to start on the bridge pickup and then work to the neck pickup. And then we'll check out the humbucker and parallel modes as well. So when the pickups are in the split coil position, you get a really nice chimey guitar sound. Now live, I tend to use it in the split coil position live a lot, because if I'm playing funky stuff, you get that nice kind of spiky attack that you would get from a single coil loaded guitar. So now I'm going to go straight to the parallel mode, because I want you to hear some of the stratty kind of vibes about this thing now. So in the parallel mode, it uses the split coil idea, but both coils are working, but the signal is splitting before it gets into the coil, then going through each coil and then rejoining at the end. So this isn't an out of phase sound, but it kind of gives you that out of phase strat position 2 and 4 kind of vibe. Sounds like this. So while that does not sound like a strat, it just starts to push into that territory. And then we can go to series mode, which is the humbuckers. So in humbucker mode, there's a lot more output from the pickups. Even though they're still vintage voiced, they push the amp that little bit harder. So if you dig in that mode, you actually hit the amp that little bit harder. Now I've got the amp set kind of just below the edge of breakup anyway, but digging in with those humbuckers kind of pushes it over that edge. So now I'm going to go back to single coil mode and I'm going to turn on the Alchemy Overdrive. I've got the gain on about halfway on the pedal just for a kind of crunchy sound. So here's how the single coil sound with some drive. Now for the parallel mode, so this is where we get into some of those kind of more quacky, stratty kind of ideas. Now we're going to humbucker mode, and I'm going to turn the gain up just a little bit, just to give a bit more punch to the sound. So with the different pickup combinations, there's a ton of different sounds available. What I find myself doing is when I'm playing clean, I tend to mix and match things. So sometimes I'll have parallel in the neck and single coil in the bridge, which means I've got these two coils on, acting in parallel, and then I've got this one down here, acting as just a single coil. Or sometimes I'll reverse that and I'll have single coil on the neck, parallel on the bridge. Or sometimes a mix of the humbucker and single coil, maybe a humbucker in the bridge and a single coil in the neck. Or I can do the opposite, I can have a humbucker in the neck, single coil in the bridge. Or we could go parallel neck, humbucker bridge. You can see the options there are really endless. If you combine some low gain overdrive with a combination of parallel and humbucker modes, you can kind of create some Peter Green-ish out of phase sounds as well, which is quite nice. So for me, this guitar has become a real workhorse. Like I said, I gig this relentlessly. It's been everywhere around the country with me, and I cannot stop playing this thing. I love the fact that there are so many different tones available. When I first spoke to Igor about this, I was a little bit reluctant with the three-way switch because I'm a five-way switch guy. I like having those extra options. But when we talked about this switching option here, that kind of sealed the deal for me. I'm perfectly okay with the three-way switch now because I know I can get absolutely everything I need and way more from these little switches. So yeah, for me, this is one of my main guitars now, and I love this thing. I've had it for just over 6 months. It's really bedded in, and it's kind of become an extension of my kind of playing, really. I play this all the time. Like I said, it's always on stage with me, and it's never too far away from wherever I am. So yeah, thank you guys for checking this video out. I hope you like this guitar, and I hope that you check out Valiant Guitars and see what those guys are doing over there. As I said, there are some links down below in the description. You can check those guys out. Please go and visit their website and check out what they're doing. They're a great bunch of people and a great brand, and they make some insane products. I mean, like I said, they're not cheap guitars, but if you buy one, you'll definitely get plenty of enjoyment out of it. So let me know what you guys think of the Valiant Guitars Jupiter. Now, I know the color can be divisive. I've gone for quite an extreme color here. They do pretty, they can do more subtle colors than this, obviously. But when they asked me what I wanted, I had to go in hard and, get something a little bit wacky. But don't be put off by that color alone. If you don't like this color or what I've done here, you can obviously get any color you want. They're a great bunch of guys. Hit them up, get your dream guitar built. And yeah, let me know what you think of the sound and the look of these things down below in the comments. While you're down there, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching as always.